Games rated E to M. Welcome to Nintendo Power Podcast. This episode, we reveal the winners of our Nintendo Power fan favorite games of 2019. My name is Chris Slate, and joining me for this special episode are Kit Ellis and Krysta Yang from Nintendo Minute. Thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having us.
Than's for coming, and it's having you here for our year-end episode is becoming an annual tradition, so look forward to it.
It's a tradition of 1 year. This is the second
year. I look forward to this.
I do too. It is kind of nice. I didn't mean it in that way. Jeez, I was just saying it's like our second annual.
Yes, that's right.
Recording.
It's the start of a new tradition.
There we go.
Now, just like last year, we won't be including the usual segments this time, and instead, what we did previously is we set up a ballot at Nintendo.com and asked Nintendo fans to vote on some of their favorite Nintendo Switch games from the year. And now we're going to spend the whole episode discussing the winners. And then we're also going to give our own personal picks for each category, too. And I should make it clear here at the start that we're just doing this for fun. There aren't any actual awards. And the nominees mostly come from games that those of us on the Nintendo Power Podcast team have personally enjoyed. And we certainly haven't played everything. But we think this is a fun way for us to remember and to recommend some really amazing games. And we had a great response. So a big thanks goes out to everybody who voted. Now, I'm the only one who knows who won because you both wanted to be totally surprised. So are you ready?
Yes.
So ready.
All right, now let's get started. We have 14 categories, and our first is Coolest Co-op. And the nominees were Cuphead, Luigi's Mansion 3, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order, and The Stretchers. And the winner is Luigi's Mansion 3.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow, I'm kind of surprised by that, actually.
Really?
A little bit. Because, Luigi's Mansion, I think you definitely can play the whole game single player, which is what I did. But I have been saying that it would be kind of cool to go back and play the whole game again in co-op mode.
I've been thinking that,
too.
I think that would be really cool. Maybe it's a good way to revisit that game if you just played it in single player mode.
I think so, and I always thought of this game first and foremost as a single-player game because
Me too.
that's how I've played the previous games in the series. But it was near the end of the game where I actually played with my son for the first time, co-op,
nice.
and it was really fun. And then we started playing with some of the other co-op modes. So it's if people haven't really dipped into that, there's a lot there.
Yeah, I think that's a cool kind of feat of game design of being able to make something that is, totally playable, single player and co-op.
Right.
That's probably a lot trickier than people realize to pull that off.
And that's a good point that the story mode, obviously, you can play single player or co-op, but there's also tons of other actual co-op and competitive modes in Luigi's Mansion 3 that you can play that are not within the story mode. So, again, if you wanted to go back with some friends or whatever, we did Scare Scraper with the development team.
Yes, that was fun. Yeah.
That was fun, but it was also very stressful.
Yeah.
They were really good though. You, on the other hand, not so good.
So this was actually my pick. And,
really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And you recall that you and I played a bit on stage at PAX.
Yeah, that was fun.
And when I knew that I could close a door in your face or let you hang in the wind as a door as walls kind of closed in on you, I thought, oh, this is definitely a good co-op game.
Okay, that's a good way to choose that. But all right, that was terrifying to play with you on stage because you're not a good co-op partner, so I knew that I was going to have to
co-op dynamics. That's
not
a thing.
Good. Yeah, I had to rely on my own self.
Now, Krysta, was this your pick as well?
It was not, actually. My pick, which I thought was going to be the winner, was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. So that game,
it's very fun too.
It's super fun, and I think that what makes that game really special is that there's such a sheer amount of different characters in that game for you to choose from. So every single co-op experience and experience that you go through with somebody else can be different because you're changing characters all the time. You're going through tons of really fun stages, and that was the game that I think I played co-op the most throughout the year, and I keep going back to it too and just playing with different people. So it's super fun, and I think it's going to be one of those games that you can just continue to go back to and play co-op. So that was my pick, but I kind of thought that was going to win, actually. So,
well, that is a game tailor-made for co-op.
Exactly.
And kind of along those lines, I kind of looked at this category and deciding what my pick would be. I looked at it primarily as the co-op experience and kind of how much the game really revolved around that versus necessarily what my favorite one of those games were. And so I actually picked The Stretchers.
Yes.
That's actually a good one too.
That game is so much more fun when you play in co-op because obviously it was really intended for co-op. And so when I played again with my son, and we both have to, you each grab one end of the stretcher, and you kind of have to really partner.
Or one end of the person, whatever you want to do.
But it's just so fun how the controls work. And there's just a lot of fun ingenuity there.
It is.
And level after level, they keep adding new things that just make me laugh. So that was one of my most memorable co-op experiences in a long time.
Kind of made to be silly. You and I played that a little bit.
Yeah, been playing on the plane a lot.
You got to jump off this trampoline, and your character just kind of ragdolls
flails around. Yeah, it's really funny.
We were always returning back to the station after each mission, and I somehow ended up driving through the same
wall every time,
4 times straight.
Yes, you also were the one that always got us to lose points. Somehow. You always got
get knocked down.
You get knocked down
I would
a lot.
fall down.
Fall into the water.
Yeah, I was good at falling down.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
The first thing we did was we walked out into that pig pen right outside of the station house and just got mercilessly trampled over and over by all the pigs.
Oh, the pigs. They don't like you. Yeah, it's a very unexpectedly fun and kind of zany little game, which is great.
All right, on to category number 2, the most vicious versus. And these, of course, are very challenging competition games. And the nominees were Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, Overwatch Legendary Edition, Super Mario Maker 2, and Tetris 99. And the winner is Tetris 99.
Oh.
Nice.
Personally, I was really happy to see Tetris 99 win a category like this because it's probably my most played game of the year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's another one I keep going back to randomly, like all year long. I needed to get that number 1 spot, and then once I did that one time, I kind of stopped playing. But then I would always
moment of relief.
Yeah, I was
I can do this.
I can do this.
I've reached the top of Everest.
I gotta reach the top, and then I was like, okay, I'm good for a little while. But it is super vicious. You can even select like how you want to be vicious when you're playing that multiplayer mode, which is crazy. It's fun though.
And they keep adding new modes to it. And then they added the daily challenges, which pulled me back into it after I'd taken a break for a while because I wanted to collect those tickets every day and unlock all the cool retro themes. So, there's just a lot there. And it's just kind of like meditation for me.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very good for
so that
turning
would
your
have been
brain
my
off.
pick as well. But I also wanted to mention Super Mario Maker 2 because the competition in that game can get really fierce. I was surprised at how intense versus mode in that game can be.
And there's kind of some different takes you could have on, a quote traditional versus mode. You could just like make a level for a friend and say, can you do this?
Right.
We did that with some of your levels.
Yeah.
Didn't always go great.
The answer was no. I could not do it, actually, Chris Slate.
My pick was Tetris 99 as well, and I sort of thought about the reaction that I had like physically at the end of a match where I was just like breathing hard, heart is pounding, kind of tense. I was like, oh, this is really serious.
I found that for me, I actually do better if I can kind of distract
out.
myself.
Yeah.
So I'll listen to a podcast or something while I'm doing it.
I do that too. Or I
Wow.
watch TV or something like that in the background while you just kind of like play that game because you can kind of do the half brain thing, and then play and do something else at the same time.
You try these tactics.
And suddenly you realize you might be in the top 5 and the other person at the other end might be sweating it out, but you just kind of
Yeah, maybe it's better if you
gotta
don't
stay
realize
calm.
that.
out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to the number 1 spot? I'm sure you have.
Yes.
A couple times, right?
I have I have a bunch of times, but the percentage of the number of times I've done that to how many times I've played, basically I've been able to do it
it's
because
like
of the sheer
1%,
volume of
right?
tries.
We don't need to share that here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My same experience. Exactly. That was not my pick. You guys both picked that game. I picked Overwatch. For the sheer reason that I'm terrible at that game and people are so good. They have such a leg up, and so it's like, oh my gosh, I have no idea how they got so good at this game. It's so ridiculous. We played a little bit with some folks at Blizzard, and
That's right.
man, that was a real eye opener.
Teamwork, though.
The teamwork was good, but the other team was pretty vicious, and there's no mercy at all. They really, even when you get to those moments where you feel like you're close to winning a match, it can turn so quickly as well. So very dramatic. So really fun game, but I really like it. I want to get better at it, but I don't really know how to go about doing that.
Yeah, there is a hardcore fan base and a huge fan base of just really skilled players at this point. Obviously, it's one of the most impactful multiplayer games in recent memory, so that's definitely a good pick.
Exactly.
There's a game that was not on this list that I just wanted to give a shout out to because it's a little bit of an obscure game that you and I have played a few times. It's fun. It's called Mowing and Throwing.
Oh, Mowing and Throwing.
Where you're basically like a garden gnome on a riding lawnmower.
You mow and you throw.
And you're trying to mow your lawn, but the other player's doing things like throwing rocks or throwing fertilizer to make more grass grow.
Yes.
It's kind of a head scratcher of a concept, but once you start playing, it's super fun.
It's so fun. It was another game that we played on a long flight.
Yeah.
And you can be so vicious and mean to the other person. And it's just like a weird little, you never expect it to be as vicious as it is because it's called Mowing and Throwing.
Mowing and Throwing.
Check it out. It's really good.
Oh, that's cool. I like really silly games that actually be pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right, next up is Brightest Bright Idea. Now, these are kind of innovative ideas here. And the nominees are Baba Is You, Ring Fit Adventure, Nintendo Labo VR Kit, Untitled Goose Game. And the winner is Untitled Goose Game.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Probably not too surprising, although there's a lot of great contenders here.
Yes.
But there's just been a lot of excitement around that game.
Well, it's a goose. And it bugs you.
And it's untitled.
It's untitled.
Would that have been your pick, or do you guys have different picks?
It's not.
Wow.
Mine was Ring Fit Adventure, actually. So it's a little bit unexpected, I think, that a video game could be sort of that, physical, and you can really have a true workout when you're playing that game. So it's a fun way to, I think, get exercise and stuff like that without having to be boring and go to the gym or something if you don't want to. So that one I think really surprised me, and I just really didn't expect it to be such a good workout.
Yeah, and that was the value of it to me, is that it kind of tricks you. The games that kind of put more of the exercise first and the fun stuff secondary, can sometimes feel a little bit more like you're having to really force yourself to keep up with it regularly. Mm-hmm. But if I don't really, obviously I'm having a workout, and I'm not fooled that I'm not having a workout, but I'm more focused on the gameplay.
Yeah.
And that keeps me hanging in there a lot longer, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. I went with Untitled Goose Game. I think that what this really sold it for me with this game was kind of how tightly it mimics the mannerisms of a real goose, kind of all the ways that you can navigate and how you swim around. And there's even that move where you can kind of extend your wings. And I'm still not sure exactly what that's for, but I do like that it's in there when I'm chasing poor people around and I put the wings out. It just looks really cool.
It's scary.
It's like they really bought into this concept 100%.
Yeah, I think that's the charm of that game, is that it's not a cartoon goose. It's like a real goose. And and you're just kind of, I don't know, just the bonkers reality of running around and trying to steal the farmer's keys.
And we have a lot of geese around the office here.
Yep.
So I think we can attest, this is how geese really are.
They're
not
mean.
Nice.
Yeah,
they're crazy.
They're a little crazy.
The only thing missing from the game is just how hard it is to walk in the areas where that many geese have been walking through on a daily basis.
Yes, yeah. We know that firsthand for sure. Yeah, it's kind of gross. Geese are not my favorite.
Except in this game.
Exactly.
And that would have been my pick as well, Untitled Goose Game. I just think I love games where just the concept is so pure and simple, but it really resonates. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to come up with something that fresh and original that gets that kind of attention. All right, category 4, most unexpected. So the nominees here are The Reveal of Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda, Link as a playable character in Super Mario Maker 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Fighters past character reveals, or the hype for Untitled Goose Game. And the winner is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Fighters past character reveals.
I can see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All year long, we've had all these fighter reveals. It's been really fun, actually. We started with, I think, Joker, and it just kind of went from there. Yeah, there's been a lot, and I think people have been excited every time a new fighter's been revealed. So it's kind of cool to see this game just continue to get a lot of like conversation around it, and people are still really enjoying it. And every time a new fighter comes out is a really good chance or opportunity for people to pick up the game again, play and dissect the character. And it's always fun to see the commentary from players. So it's been great.
Yeah, I think it's cool that these have gone beyond the kind of established Nintendo franchises, and I think that has what kept people on their toes of like, well, what is the next character going to be? It seems like there's so many opportunities and options that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always such a, not just are these reveals cool surprises, but it's always such a great celebration of the characters and the franchises they come from. You really feel like, a lot of love, for those series come through. I mean, it's a big part of what Smash Brothers is all about.
Yeah, totally. And it's not just a character that gets that you can get when you get the DLC too. You get like the music and stages, and so you're totally right. It's like a great celebration of that character and what game and what franchise they're from, and so it's really fun to see that kind of all play out in Smash.
Would that have been your pick too?
It's not.
Wow.
So this is where I picked our lovely Goose game.
Oh.
So I really was surprised. I mean, I guess not surprised, but a little bit surprised that there was so much just hype for the game. When I played the game, it was like at a preview event, and there was already a lot of, I think, sort of curiosity and just
there was a huge crowd around it. I remember.
A lot of people just kind of wanting to look over people's shoulders and watch them play because it was such a weird, such a unique thing where you're a goose and you're being really annoying, but it's just so cool to see everyone's reaction when the game came out. And everybody just really had that same reaction when we were playing at the preview event, where everyone just kind of gathered around to see what the heck this game is. So I think that's really surprising. And you were saying this earlier, it's such a simple concept, but it's cool to see such a simple concept get so much attention, and the game is just so much fun and something very, very unexpected. So that was why I picked that game.
Mm-hmm. Kid, how about you?
Yep, Fighters Pass stuff was mine. I'm 4 for 4 for matching the players here.
You have your finger
exciting.
on the pulse.
How far can I take this? Yeah.
For me, I mean, all of those are great, but I picked Link as a playable character in Super Mario Maker 2.
Nice.
Obviously, I'm just a huge fan of that game, but it really, even myself, after a certain hundreds of hours, had kind of tapered off of playing that, and this pulled me right back in. And I'm working on my first full Link level now.
Here we go.
Been playing a lot of the Link levels that people have been putting online, seeing the creative ways you can use the arrows and the bombs and the dash and move and all that stuff, and it's just really kind of put a whole new spin on it. So
how hard is the Chris Slate Link level going to be?
It's
really hard?
It's like a lot of other levels I make where it's intended to be for everyone, and it somehow ends up being incredibly hard.
What? That's the silliest
Everyone
thing
whose name is Chris Slate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like a professional speedrunner or
So
something.
what are you talking about? If you built this level, it's exactly
That's
what
right.
you're supposed to
Piece
do.
of
It's
cake.
very easy.
I know it inside and out.
Can't wait to play it.
Sometimes I go back to a level I made a long time ago, and I've kind of forgotten how it works.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
This is tough.
This is more
I
hard,
am
harder than
a
I
troll.
remember.
Just kidding.
All right, category number 5 is favorite Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Fighters Pass character.
Yeah.
The nominees were Banjo and Kazooie, Hero, Joker, or Terry. And the winner is Joker.
Oh!
Wow.
Joker. That was mine.
Was it really?
Oh.
Yeah. I'm excited that people chose Joker too. Yeah, that was a fun reveal, I think, 'cause we revealed it at TGA's the day that Smash came out. A year ago, so that was really fun to have that like really fun on stage reveal for Joker, and I think that kind of set the tone almost for all of the other reveals that happened throughout the year, and it just made every single reveal really, really exciting after that reveal. So, and I think it was another one where it was very unexpected for Joker to be added into the Smash roster, so I think it was pretty cool to see the reaction to that. And it's nice to see that Joker has made it into some of the competitive players' mains. So a lot of players have really been using Joker and really enjoy his moveset. So it's kind of nice to see, Joker getting a little bit of a spotlight from all of our pro players.
Yeah, I've liked seeing competitive players kind of break down each of these characters
Yes.
as they're released. There's kind of a couple days of intense analysis
live
and
streaming.
proclamations, and
Yes.
You kind of see which ones
The lineup gets
might make it,
shuffled.
which ones might not. There
I
was a lot
love
of
that.
discussion around Hero and how he might fit into competitive play. But yeah,
Yeah.
Joker seems to have stuck around.
Definitely.
Yeah. I went with Terry, and I kind of thought about, well, how do I look at this? Is it the character that I was just most excited about having the character in the game, or the character that I most like playing the most? And I went with the one I like playing the most, and that's Terry. He's got, those big, heavy blows, really plays like a traditional fighting game character. Yeah. If I had to look at it through the other lens, I probably would have gone with Banjo and Kazooie.
Yeah, and that's who I actually went with, Banjo and Kazooie. And I actually really enjoyed playing all these characters. And similar to you, Terry wasn't one that I was super familiar with before the game came out, but he's just so fun to play as.
He really is.
Especially when you get a hyper damage percentage, you get access to those extra moves. Just nailing those feels really good. But nostalgia and everything is still such a strong part of the series for me. And, I really finally remember those Banjo and Kazooie games on Nintendo 64. So, I just play as him a lot, and I just spam that side B charge until my feathers run out and then get walloped. But I enjoy doing it.
But it's still fun.
Yeah.
And it was really great with the nostalgia part that you were talking about. It was great that we had Grant Kirkhope, who did the music for Banjo-Kazooie, just like shows so much excitement and passion when the character came out. And that was just cool to see, just that history sort of carrying over to now, and having this game in Smash really meant a lot to a lot of people. So that's a really good choice as well.
Absolutely. All right, the next category is Toughest Challenge. And the nominees are Baba Is You, Cuphead, Super Mario Maker 2, or Tetris 99. And the winner is Cuphead.
Yeah.
Not surprised with that.
That game is notorious for being really challenging, but in a good way. It's a really satisfying game.
Yeah. That was my pick. Was that your pick?
No.
Oh, okay.
I went with Tetris 99, actually.
Because you're just... Yeah, you seem to have like a special
It seems like
reaction.
I'm maybe the worst at that game
I think
of the people in the room here.
Chris is probably the best, and you're probably the worst.
There is... I thought about going with Baba As You. I think there was a category later on that I chose to honor it there a bit more with. But I think, the aspect of it being with other players is what put it over the top for me. I think with Cuphead, there's a lot of, you can train yourself and you can get better. But with Tetris 99, there's that unexpected element of having the other players and anything can happen that made it so special.
Yeah, and certainly getting first place in one of those matches is one of the hardest things you can set out to do.
Some of those Cuphead bosses, though.
Yeah.
Those are hard. You can't train yourself. Just can't do it. I can't do it.
You can't get better?
It's really hard
as
to
a
get
person,
better.
as a video game player, as a human being.
Wow, such a tall order here. It's pretty hard, and there is a co-op mode in Cuphead that we played, where you could sort of carry the other player a little bit. So that's kind of a way to maybe try to get through that game a little bit further if you're having trouble. But even the co-op mode is hard.
It's also hard.
Yeah, it's hard in a different way.
Yeah.
But the game is so good and so like unique with the art style and the music, and you just want to keep playing anyway. And it's very quick to restart if you failed a level. So it's actually not frustrating. It's hard, but it's not like super, super frustrating. So it's pretty fun to just keep trying over and over again if you continue to fail.
And it also has that great feeling that a lot of great old school games had, where even if you have to restart the level, as you get better and better, there's a real satisfaction that comes from executing.
You could feel it happening.
Yeah.
Like
I can do this now.
You're learning as you go.
Like now I used to take 2 hits before I got to this point. Now I can make it to this point without taking a hit. So it's still fun to kind of replay some of that stuff. Cuphead's what I chose, although this was a tough category for me. I really thought a lot about Tetris 99 and Super Mario Maker 2 as well. If you think about Super Mario Maker 2 and some of those very hard levels you can come across.
That you might see on the internet.
Yeah. Or that you've made yourself.
Yes.
Whatever comes first.
I always get really mad when I come across a level that just seems really unfairly difficult. And then I look at my own clear percentage in my own levels.
Exactly.
And
then you take a good look in the mirror.
Yeah,
and then you realize that you are one of those people.
All right. Category number 7 is Most Glorious Graphics. And the nominees here are Astral Chain, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion 3, and Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. And the winner is Luigi's Mansion 3. This was another tough category for me. I don't know about you guys, but all of these games are gorgeous for different reasons. They all have great, distinct art styles. But Krysta, what was your pick?
Luigi's Mansion 3.
Oh,
yeah.
Me too.
I love the art style, the graphics, just the whole feeling of that game. From the moment where in the title screen, the hotel changes from being like a nice place to a creepy place, that set the tone for the rest of the game. It is such a environment that just makes you want to explore everything. It's like spooky and funny in just the right way. And every floor is so different and unique with a different sort of, has a different angle to how you're playing through that floor. I just thought it was all really awesome.
Yeah, it definitely goes beyond just technical graphics and also into probably stuff like art direction. Like you were saying, every floor felt so different. There's a moment that I really liked where kind of early on you can go kind of on a balcony and you can see out into this valley that was out. I was like, wow, this is a really beautiful scene, but it's almost something that people might not experience if they don't spend a lot of time or don't kind of look out this little telescope here.
Yeah.
And obviously all the expressiveness of all the characters, being able to show all the emotions, all the feelings, all the goofy stuff that happens to Luigi and Toad and everyone else. Super cool.
Yeah, and the attention to detail. I mean, it would have been very easy in kind of that hotel environment to just really do copy and paste on all the different rooms, but there's always something at least a little bit different in each and every one of them.
Yeah, it really forces you or like really encourages you to want to go back and explore all the different like nooks and crannies in that hotel and interact with everything. And pretty much everything you can really interact with. So it's kind of amazing how they were able to fit all that in that game.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't really argue against that game, but I did pick a different one. And for me, I thought, I really can't choose between these games. So how do I choose? And I said, well, I'm going to pick the game that the graphics seem to have been kind of the bigger part of it. Like it was kind of the game that was most known for its graphics. So I picked The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. That style, I just really loved it. And
it's beautiful.
And just the way it really breathed new life into the Game Boy Classic original game.
Yes.
Was so good.
That is the cutest Link of the year.
Yeah.
It's a little cute little face. It's the best.
All right, next up is Sweetest Soundtrack. And the nominees are Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda, Katana Zero, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and Sayonara Wild Hearts. And the winner is Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda.
Nice.
This was kind of a brutal category as far as making a decision for me. I don't know if you felt that way.
I did, very much.
Hard.
I liked all these games.
All of these are great.
Yeah, for different reasons. Like, it's kind of like the graphics category where you just love them all for different reasons. I definitely had that game just on. I wasn't playing it, but I was listening to the Kakariko Village remix just over and over again. I just had the game, like my Switch on. It's so good. But that was not my pick, actually.
Wasn't mine either.
It's really hard. I had to think about this for a long time, but my pick was ultimately Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That game is built soundtrack first. That game is really about the music, and you're playing the game to really enjoy all of the music, all the soundtracks in there, and sort of the gameplay revolves around the music itself. So I think because it was built, music first, it really made for an incredible soundtrack.
Yeah, I remember last year when we did this category, I had a hard time with it as well. And one of the things I did was like, well, what is the game that really, integrates the music into the gameplay as much as possible?
Right.
And actually all of these kind of do to different degrees, but I think like you were saying, this one goes the furthest. And I think the developers shared the concept of this game as a pop album that you play as a game.
Pop album, and it's exactly what it is.
And it's pretty cool how it melds that stuff together. And the songs are great. I mean, they're super catchy, super varied. Just stuff like I would listen to if I wasn't playing the game.
I think I still do.
Yeah.
The song they play on the title screen, which is I think in the trailers too, I feel like could be a hit on the radio.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It doesn't feel out of place from just something that you'd listen to like in the car or something like that.
I actually went with the voters on this one, but I did want to kind of give a call out to Katana Zero.
Gosh, it's so good.
The really kind of moody synth
grimy,
music really
dirty,
sets a mood for the whole game.
And that's exactly what that game is too. And that's another, one of those reasons where the music just gives the game that mood that you want to experience, and that's definitely that one for sure.
Okay, next up, category number 9 is Most Sensational Story. And here we have Astral Chain, Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and Katana Zero. And the winner is Fire Emblem 3 Houses. probably not much of a surprise. There's a lot of Fire Emblem Three Houses fans here in the office and around the world, obviously.
Yeah. And that one for sure is not just one story. It could be 4. So, it's a lot of story to pack in. Most.
Well, Dragon Quest might have something to say about
literally
that.
Most.
Yeah, there's a lot of story here.
4 different stories. So, I mean, that's kind of incredible to have in one game, is that you could truly replay it 4 different times.
And see it from different perspectives.
Exactly. And really understand the characters from different angles. And so I think that's a very unique feature of Dragon Quest, of Fire Emblem.
And you played through that game multiple times.
Yes.
I didn't do that. I played it once, but you can definitely see how some of the scenes are set up to be interpreted different ways by different people or different groups, which I thought was really interesting.
The way that all the stories connect together too. I don't know who made a spreadsheet for that, but well done, because that seems hard. That was my pick, obviously, but yeah, I think yes, it's one of those games where I still will go back. I think later this year and play some more, because I've not done all 4 paths. So good opportunity to go back and continue playing Fire Emblem.
Yeah, that was my pick too, and just beyond the having that interweaving aspect to it, like there were definitely reveals where I almost gasped, like, I did not expect
didn't see that coming.
And everybody had characters that they got super attached to,
Right.
and obviously, so many of those dialogue scenarios really play up kind of the special relationships that those characters have,
and playing the paralogs to get you insights into all of the characters that are
really
not the main character,
attached to everything.
Yes.
Now, I think at some point throughout the year on different episodes of the podcast, from almost all of these games, I have talked about my burning desire to get back to them and how I haven't been able to yet. And so,
is this a pass for you?
Well, this
You're
makes
not allowed
me
to pass.
Yeah.
I'm completely unqualified to really judge this, but I did pick one, and it just happens to be the only game on the list that I've actually completed.
Okay.
Which is
Is it Katana Zero?
Yeah.
Again, just more of a shout out to Katana Zero than really comparing it to the others, but I really love just kind of how, I mean, it's a very dark story, but it's so interesting, and there's some mysteries involved, and for much of the, it's one of those stories that for much of the game, I'm kind of questioning what I'm seeing, and I'm not really sure if there's hidden meaning or not, and it just really held my interest, and I kept wanting to play, not just because the gameplay was fun, but to really see how the story unfolded.
Yeah, that was my second choice, actually, because I felt the same way as you when I was playing through the game. It was very, mysterious, and sometimes I didn't really know what was going on, and I think even when I reached the end, I was like, huh? But then I kind of like that feeling, like it's very nebulous the way the story unfolds.
Open to interpretation.
Yeah. It's really good.
You almost want to go back to certain parts and kind of look at it again.
Look at it again, like some of those little cutscenes in between the psychiatry. I mean, it's so weird. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, next up we have Indie Excellence, and the nominees here are Cuphead, Katana Zero. If I'm saying this right, Gato Roboto? Gato Roboto?
Gato, like a cat.
Cat in Spanish.
Oh, okay. Well, Gato Roboto.
It's a bit of a catchier name instead of Cat Roboto.
Cat Robot.
Gato Roboto.
And Untitled Goose Game. And the winner is Untitled Goose Game.
Yay!
Yeah.
Lots of good indie games this year.
Yeah. I mean, this list could have been 10 times as long.
Right.
Easily.
It's pretty hard to just keep it to these four, but yeah. I like how even on this list, when you're looking at it, how different each of the 4 games are.
Yeah.
You get games that are just so goofy, like Untitled Goose Game, to like a more dark, serious game like Katana Zero. So it's kind of nice to see all that great variety on the indie side. But I also picked Untitled Goose Game for this category.
Me too.
I mean, you just can't think about 2019 without thinking about a goose. So
Here's the goose. Well, for me, I picked Cuphead just because the style is so unique, and I just feel like every second I'm playing that game, part of my brain is focused on trying to survive the next few seconds, but there's always a part that's just appreciating the production value and what they're able to achieve with the animation and how they really captured the spirit of those old cartoons. Like I used to watch in reruns a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have imagined anyone would have ever brought that style back and done it as well as they did. So Even though games like Untitled Goose Game are great, maybe more fresher in my memory, I just remember how the impact that Cuphead had on me, and also for a kind of a different type of experience, God of Roboto really came out of nowhere, and I love games that kind of play like Metroid, and this was a game that played like that, but with a unique retro art style where you control a little cat who's in a mech suit, and you can hop out as the cat and kind of run around the maze, and I was like, it's amazing.
Yeah. It's also black and white, which was kind of interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just interesting how the different art styles these different games kind of took, and really fun to see all the different, the variety of games.
Absolutely. Even among, kind of retro style games, it has a very distinct look.
Right.
All right. Category 11, the biggest brain bender. And the nominees are Baba Is You, Box Boy plus Box Girl, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and Return of the Obra Dinn. And the winner is The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening.
Whoa, really? See, I'm surprised because I figured that people would remember from back in the Remember when you did this before?
It was a long time ago. It's possible to forget.
And also the sheer amount of walkthroughs
yes.
that's available to you because it's been done.
I had beaten this game before on Game Boy, but it was years and years ago, and I had pretty much forgotten 99% of it, and I challenged myself to not look online.
Yes.
So I got stumped quite a lot.
Did you?
But it was very satisfying when I would finally work my way through it.
Okay, so the last time I played was on 3DS. It was definitely over 3 years ago, right? Probably. I think I remembered it. I don't know. Maybe my memory is a little bit better than yours.
My memory's terrible.
Oh, well, that's
in pretty much every way.
You got stuck.
This is the brain bender. I'm not ashamed to say I did look at walkthroughs.
Oh, yeah. You got stuck in a few places.
Second half of the game, I got stuck.
Yeah.
A fair number of times, but I'm proud that the first half though.
Did pretty good.
First half.
That first dungeon, breezed right through. Tail Cave, got it.
Made it.
No problem.
When I tried the demo at E3, I couldn't even find the sword at the beginning.
Oh.
And it's just right there on the beach.
I know.
I walked past it like 5 times.
Oh, your memory is
It's
a
pretty
little
terrible.
Okay.
I may not remember how to get home tonight.
Okay, well, good luck to you. My choice is Baba Is You. But not because it was a brain bender for me, but
it was a brain breaker.
It was a brain breaker for Kit. And watching you play that game is the single most amusing moment.
Well, you did something kind of underhanded.
No, I
with
didn't.
It.
I didn't.
So again, we were doing a show at PAX East, and we did this thing. It's like, what indie game do you want us to try for the first time? And this was one of the games that was chosen.
Yep.
And you just kind of handed me the controllers, like,
That's
here you
the
go,
magic.
figure this out. And it was like, what?
That's the magic of that game.
That's me.
No, it's not. It's how it's you want to go into it fresh because it's such a unique puzzle game.
Right.
So I didn't want to tell you too much about it because then it wouldn't be fun for me. But yes, that was really funny.
Big old laugh.
Got a big old laugh in front of a huge crowd of people, but eventually they helped you through it, so it's okay.
Through that tutorial level, yeah.
Oh yeah, the tutorial. It was.
We showed that tutorial level. Yeah,
real good.
Take that. That was my pick too. I mean, I truly struggle to get deep into that game, but that idea is just so still mind blowing to me.
Right.
Of how does this game work? I don't know, but I like it. I admire it from afar, even though I struggle to get very far into it.
It hurts me, but I like it.
Yeah.
I think all of these games you had some moments. Yeah, Box Boy Box Girl.
Yeah, that's true.
We have that one on video too. That was trying. I did hear a lot of cries for help with Zelda.
Uh-huh.
And then I heard some cries for help from Obra Dinn too.
Yeah. What's going on?
I don't get it. Oh, you got a lot farther than me. Not the best category for you.
Well, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening was my pick, but it really could have been any of these. I like, especially in between these big adventure games that I spent so much time playing, I really like just some little brain twisters.
Yeah.
And it's great that there's so many of those on Nintendo Switch, and if you've got them saved to your system, you can just fire them up and kill time with some really cool stuff.
See, you guys feel like the platforming games are super satisfying when you can figure it out like Cuphead. But I feel like the puzzle games are the ones that are super satisfying, like in Link's Awakening.
Is that a humble brag?
No, I'm just saying I cannot play a platforming game. I'm really bad. But I feel like puzzle games, I have a better chance of getting through it and feeling good about it.
I like to put my prodigious brain to the test from time to time, unlike the two of you.
Just your muscle memory or whatever. But yes, I think that's the best part about an adventure game like Legend of Zelda, where you like solve those puzzles and you're like, oh, I feel good. It's working.
Yeah. Yeah, about finally, putting the right object into the right spot.
Yes.
And then you get that magical chime, and then you can finally move ahead.
I did have a small bit of revenge on you when we made some chamber dungeons, though. I will say that.
That was mean. That wasn't fair.
Well,
you did it on purpose.
Mean gets mean.
Them's
the rules.
You were getting me back for the Baba is you antic that I pulled.
All right, we're down to the final three categories.
Oh, wow.
That's right. And the next one is platforming perfection. And the platformers were Cuphead, New Super Lucky's Tale, Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, and Super Mario Maker 2. And the winner is Super Mario Maker 2.
Hooray.
Aha.
Obviously, I agreed with this one.
Yes. I thought you would, Chris.
And as primarily a platformer fan, I really loved and was really surprised by some of the games on this list. I loved all of them. But being able to play, over 100 new Super Mario Maker 2 levels from the developers at Nintendo, plus endless numbers of courses created by the fans, and being able to make my own. I mean, the sheer volume of platforming goodness in this is unbeatable.
Yeah.
That was my pick as well. Definitely agree with you on just the sheer volume and the variety of levels that are out there, both from our developers and also from players. As much as I complain and make fun of you, I really did enjoy your levels. You're really, you have a special talent. There are some people at Nintendo that have this special talent for making incredible Super Mario Maker 2 levels. I think you're definitely one of them, and the other people are the folks in Treehouse that made the levels for the Invitational at E3. And you and I played some of those levels.
Oh, yeah.
That was something.
Judged by Mr. Tezuka in the room.
Whew, that was a moment that you think Tetris is stressful? I think that was pretty stressful. Mr. Tezuka is very nice, by the way. But I just, to have the ability to both, be a really good platformer and play these levels, but also to flip your mind and create these levels is really amazing. So good job on your levels, Chris.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I really did enjoy them.
I think the fun of it for me is even if you're just tooling around on something that never even becomes a full level, it's just having grown up playing these Super Mario Brothers games and kind of inherently knowing the language of Super Mario Brothers.
Exactly.
Just the ability to kind of get in there and monkey around with the pieces and kind of shuffle things around is just like a lifelong dream, basically.
Yeah, in this type of game where you can create things or play someone else's creations, I almost never create. But in Super Mario Maker and Super Mario Maker 2,
we did a few.
I prefer creating, actually. Yeah. And I think that just goes to show how satisfying it can be if you just put a little bit of effort into it. You get a big payoff.
You get a nice insight into someone else's brain, too, when you play through their level. You just kind of, I don't know, you kind of understand them in a different way a little bit more, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. If you're constantly jumping over a pit and then hitting an invisible block and being shot straight off the screen.
That person is not your friend.
No, that's maybe somebody you don't want to hang around with.
That's right.
All right. Category 13, Most Epic RPG. And the nominees are Dragon Quest XI-S, Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. And the winner is Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Ooh.
Wow.
Taking it.
Tough category.
This is
a hard one.
Heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at this, it really reminds me what a great year it was for RPGs on the system.
It's really hard to have this many RPGs because you need time to play all of them. So now we're all really behind on all of our games because all these games are so long. But it is really, really cool to have all these great RPGs this year on Switch. My pick was Dragon Quest XI, actually.
What?
Why?
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Why are you surprised?
I thought Fire Emblem was a shoo-in.
I like Fire Emblem. Wow. But anyways, this is a game that is one of those just RPGs that you always look forward to. When you know a Dragon Quest game is coming, you're like, oh, I'm in for this. I know it's going to be this epic story. It's going to be this great RPG. I'm going to sink 60 hours into it. It's going to be great. So this is the quintessential RPG perfection. And I will admit that I haven't beaten the game yet, even though you told me that I had to before recording this podcast.
Yeah.
I could not.
You didn't marathon this weekend?
Physically could not.
Oh.
But I've played a good chunk of it so far, and it is not disappointed at all. Just so much great story and just, such a good game. I love it.
Yeah, I chose Fire Emblem for all the reasons I shared earlier. I do want to give a shout out to Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Mm-hmm. That's probably the most fun I've had with Pokemon core RPGs in quite a long time. Just the way that they have expanded it. And in this game, I really enjoyed all of the human characters and kind of the world of the Galar region so much. That felt really brought to life, and the story was great. And obviously all the new Pokemon that they introduced were very cool. That kind of rekindled a love of Pokemon that I had, and I'm really looking forward to going back to it. I'm playing Dragon Quest XI right now, but I think after I wrap that up, whenever that may be, someday yonder, I'm going to go back to Pokemon Sword and keep catching some of those Pokemon.
Yeah, this was another category that, for me, that, all of these games are in various stages of play for me. Some of them I've only just started. So, but so far, compared to where I've gotten in these games, I went with Fire Emblem, Three Houses. But, man, it could really switch up. I could see Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, or really any of the others kind of taking the lead for me if I continue playing them. Hopefully I can, this can be one of those games, or one of these can at least be one of those games that I really dig into over the holiday break.
Yes, that is the catch-up week.
Yep.
Or weeks,
yes.
For sure. That's when you definitely catch up on your backlog.
All right, the final category, the Player's Game of the Year.
Oh, my goodness.
A lot of options here.
Wow.
We did. We doubled the number of usual nominees for this, and even then we couldn't fit in all the games, honestly, that probably would have been deserving of a mention, but we at least wanted to give some more choice for this category. And the nominees were Astral Chain, Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition, Fire Emblem Three Houses, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, Super Mario Maker 2, and Tetris 99. And the winner is...
Drum roll.
Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Wow!
Sorry.
Whoa.
Sorry. I'm really excited.
I gotta say, I was surprised when I first saw that, but honestly, I think I would have been surprised no matter what the winner was, because the competition was just so fierce.
And there's so much.
This year, there were so many great games.
Mm-hmm.
They're
So
all
many.
different. They all have their own merits. It's really hard to choose. But guess what? They chose the right game, because that was my game of the year. Yay!
I guess we'll gloss over how it's not the best RPG of the year, but the game of the year. Anyhow.
It doesn't have to win in
Let's
every
talk about
category. That's not how that works.
All right. Please elaborate.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about...
I liked it.
Well, I mean, we've done a whole podcast on this, so, Chris, you know very well my love for Fire Emblem, but this is a franchise I've loved for a really long time, and this one in particular really surprised me. At first, when I was just learning about the game, I was a little curious. How is this sort of going to work? It feels a little bit different than some of the other Fire Emblem games I've played and really loved, with this kind of school phase and this monastery thing, and then sort of this, other phase that was a little bit more mysterious, because no one wanted to be spoiled about the quote after the jump. So I kind of went into it a little bit skeptical, actually. I hope I like this game as much as I liked all the other Fire Emblem games. And I was very pleased that I loved it so much, and I was so into the whole mechanic of sort of planning your characters and then getting them ready for that second phase. And again, this is a game where I've played through multiple times at this point. I'm still going to be continuing to play through it, and every time I play it a little bit differently, and so just having that sheer variety of the way you can play through a single game is really incredible. And of course, love all the characters. I think the story is great, and so definitely an incredible game, and I think well deserved for Game of the Year. Done.
My pick might be surprising to you for a certain reason. It's Luigi's Mansion 3.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I'm really surprised, because we've had some conversations about this.
I was playing this game and I got stuck on a puzzle.
Yes.
That was not any, a super challenging puzzle, but I just had a mental block, as may have been exhibited through some of the earlier categories about brain benders. I'm not great at puzzles, but I got stuck. And I sort of spent a whole night kind
you
of
got stuck and you got mad.
hitting my head against the wall with this puzzle. I was like, oh, I don't know. I need to ask somebody. So I asked you. And I said, well, what do you do with this puzzle? And you're like, I don't know. And I said, well, maybe you could think back and remember. You're like, oh, you don't have to do that one. You just go. And I went back and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure you need to do it. And I just had to put the game down for a couple days and just like catch my breath. And I may have spoken to some other people who had some better advice. And I eventually moved on.
Actually.
And I'm glad I did.
Those people didn't have better advice because I think I played that puzzle for you back in the office.
Then why didn't you say that?
Because I didn't know which room you were talking about.
Oh, my goodness.
When you're sending me text messages that are just text only, I don't know what you're talking about.
Sketchiest buddy of the year. I think you might get that award.
I need help.
Anyhow.
Game of the year for you.
Glad I did. Just the sheer amount of personality, Nintendo personality that's in this game is just incredible, off the charts, and it's maybe the most that I've ever seen in any individual game. And I think, about these, Mushroom Kingdom characters, Mario, Luigi, Toad, and so on. I've loved them for decades, and to see them in this way and to see them come to life in this way was really special. And then you think about, the building itself, the mansion, the hotel, how much personality that has, how much personality all of the enemies and the bosses have. This game had a level where the whole point was to kind of shoot Toad out of the poltergeist. Just so creative. And, I've enjoyed the past Luigi's Mansions game, but I felt this one just surpassed it in amazing ways.
Yeah. My pick was, unsurprisingly, Super Mario Maker 2, but I can remember at times when I was playing through Luigi's Mansion 3 and when I was playing through Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, I thought to myself, this is probably my game of the year, at that time. And then
yes, every game was like, this could be game of the year.
Yeah. I felt that a lot this year.
Me too. Yeah. I was like, oh, and then early in the year too, I was like, how am I going to choose? And I had like a moment of like, uh-oh.
Yeah. So I just think for me, and I think for a lot of other people probably too, it was just a really strong year. And, all of these nominees are just a testament to the variety of games that came out and just how great they were across the board. So really any one of these would have been deserving.
Yeah.
It's cool that we all had a different pick, I think.
Yes, but I think that, again, goes to show just how many different options you have, when you think about all the great games that came out this year. But yes, I am surprised about your pick, but I agree with you. It's very good. I'm glad you got through it. I'm glad I got you through it. So this can become your game of the year.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we go, I want to ask just what your favorite gaming memory of 2019 was before we close out the year. Kit, do you want to share something first?
Yeah, it would have to be all of the boss battles in Luigi's Mansion 3. And I don't typically love boss battles in games. A lot of times it's meant to be really challenging, or it's kind of building upon some more standard enemy that you've seen before. But all of these were just so different and so unique, and they really had you had to approach them all in different ways, and that was part of the fun of figuring out what you had to do. And just thinking about kind of thematically what it was, like, I'll try and avoid major spoilers, but, you were going up against a haunted T-Rex skeleton or a ghost shark, which is something you didn't tell me.
Don't want to spoil it for you.
I would have liked to have known that.
Jeez.
Or there were even some of the more sort of, humanoid ghosts, like the kind of water polo guy in the swimming pool. Like, all of those were super cool characters, and the ways that you went about tackling them was great. And I really looked forward to wondering what the boss battle would be at the end of every floor.
Very cool that they were all themed to that floor.
Right,
so you can kind of like suspect maybe what that boss might be, but they're all really different and very creative and fun.
Yeah, I like when you encounter the boss early on, just as you enter the floor, and it kind of sets the tone.
It sets the tone, yeah.
And then you're
like, I'm gonna deal with you later.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna have to deal with you later. How can you forget Polterpup? Not one mention of Polterpup, but all this great Luigi's Mansion 3 talk. Star of the show.
No mention of Petra from you and all this great Fire Emblem talk. What's up with that?
It's not Petra, it's Felix.
Is it though?
Isn't it though? My favorite gaming memory is having tea with Felix. That's kind of half true, but it's my favorite gaming memory is, of course, playing through all of the great moments of Fire Emblem, and all of the like crazy gasp moments were great, but I really did like all the tea time and all the relationship moments that you have with the game. You really play that game to get to know the different characters, and you kind of weirdly think of them as real people at the end of the game, where you feel like I know him or I know her. You know, I've seen them grow through this game, and I feel like they're like my friend or something, which is strange. But that is the true sense that I got when I played through Fire Emblem, and just getting very close with all the characters, and of course playing through this incredible story, multiple storylines, has been really great.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was Super Mario Maker 2, but a very specific Super Mario Maker 2 memory. It was when, I'd been looking forward to this game for so long and really anticipating it more than any other game probably in years, because I love the first one so much. And when I finally got it, it just happened to be the perfect weekend to play it, because it was, I think it was like raining outside and kind of nasty, so you just wanted to cozy up inside anyway. And I just spent this long, lazy weekend with my son. He had his Nintendo Switch and a copy of the game, and I had mine, and we were both making courses, and then occasionally we would, swap and have each other playtest our courses. And then, eventually, we just really geeked out over it. And then eventually I brought some of those courses onto Nintendo Minute and got to see you guys try them out. So I just think that whole first experience with the game was just my high point of the year. That was great.
That's great.
Well, great. Well, Kit and Krysta, thanks so much for coming on the show, and I can't wait to do this again next year.
Yeah, super fun. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll make this a 3-year tradition next year.
3, 4? We'll just go ahead and lock down that long-term commitment.
Schedule it.
All right. Have a great new year.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
That's it for the second year of Nintendo Power Podcast. If you have any comments or questions you'd like us to consider answering on the show, you can email us at nintendopowerpodcast@noa.nintendo.com. Also, we always appreciate it if you can leave us a review, and be sure to subscribe so you get new episodes as soon as they're ready. Thanks for listening, have a great holiday season, and keep playing with power.